Hello. This video is about the Gemini new moon and how it starts a whole new series of things that we're going to be dealing with for the next month. That's why we listen to new moon forecasts. We're also going to talk about something that's happening in a couple of days, like just before the new moon, which is Saturn moving out of Pisces and into Aries. So if either of those topics are of interest to you, please hang out, listen to what's going on. I'm Renee Varnador. I'm in a galactic anchor, which just means that all the information coming to all of us from the stars, I like to anchor in and help make it practical and useful. This amazing evolutionary information coming to us. We can all have access to it. We can all receive it if we choose to put in the time to make that possible. So, Gemini, new moon, holding the paradox. Why do I call this holding the paradox? Well, Gemini is the sign of the twins, after all. This is like a kind of a version, an artistic version of Castor and Pollux, who are the the twins, the little star constellation of Gemini. And Geminis have, if you have some Gemini in your chart, you understand paradox better than the rest of us. And so it's kind of interesting. I have um, a couple of paradoxes in this presentation. And so I'm just wondering now, see, now I've caught the attention of the Geminis and everybody else is like, wait a minute, what's a paradox again? So it's just like when you're saying two things that are both true, but they sound like they're the opposite of each other. And so you get to expand your sense of this opposite or that opposite and recognize if you're on one side of a paradox or another so that you can come into more integration. So a lot of what many of us are doing right now is coming into more and more and more spiritual integration every day as we go through these amazing changes in 2025, 2026. Amazing changes with outer planets changing signs. So let's get to Saturn. So I'm filming this on May 21st. So on May 24th, Saturn will enter Aries. Saturn has been in Pisces since March 7th of 2023. So Saturn usually spends about 2.5 years in each sign. And so he goes through and visits all of our different planets every 30 years. And so about every 28, 29 years, we have a Saturn return. And that just the first one, when we're about 28, 29, we just could be, it helps us become more mature. It helps us become adult. It helps us to start taking responsibility for ourselves and our choices. And so we kind of step out of, I'm just a kid, I'm experimenting and I'm backpacking in Europe and on a train, romantic, beautiful vision, right? And then we become more responsible with Saturn's help. And usually, I know for me, when I was younger, I didn't like Saturn. I didn't like responsibility. I didn't like limitations. I didn't like any of it. But boy, have I loved the experience of Saturn in Pisces, because Pisces is it's unity and it's bliss, but it's very fluid and changeable and very hard. It's like the subconscious, the unconscious, which isn't below us, it's above us. And how do you even communicate with that realm? It's the realm of dreams. It's the realm of meditation. It's the realm of stillness. And we know that all of our best information comes up out of stillness. So, because Saturn is structure, Saturn has been able to structure our experiences in Pisces, our Piscean experiences. So, as Pluto has been traveling through, I'm sorry, as Saturn has been traveling through Pisces, I became more and more and more clear and structured and able to bring in information from the stars and planets like never before. And I realized, well, my friend coined it for me because I was in her group talking constantly about what were the galactic um, things that were happening in the sky that were affecting all of us and how we were all sharing. And so she said, "You're a galactic anchor." And I went, "Really? What?" And I realized, yeah, I am a galactic anchor for what we are birthing inside of our hearts at this time. And I have my own group that's what we do in meditation. Every We were doing it every new moon, and now we're expanding that to every full moon and expanding that to the half moons. So we are working more and more. I'm realizing it's becoming more and more important for us to understand and have Saturn help us structure ways that we can enter the new paradigm, enter the new that's waiting for us, that for us to create like nothing that's ever existed on this planet before. So that is happening at in my time zone, Pacific Daylight Time, at 8:36 p.m. when Saturn moves into Aries. And Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. Right now, as I'm filming this, Saturn is on the last degree of the zodiac. And it's very interesting for me to be getting information from Saturn on the 29th degree of Pisces, which happens to be where my moon is, and receiving information about the evolution of humanity. And so that's fascinating. And so Saturn just likes to structure and create a riverbank for the flow of Pisces. And it'll be interesting to see what Saturn does when it enters Aries, because Saturn's been in a really feminine sign, a very watery sign, a very intuitive sign. And you don't think of intuition and Saturn in the same sentence, really. But he's been there helping us anchor, anchor it in, anchor in that intuition. So Saturn is going to retrograde back into Pisces on July 13th, 2025. So we get a chance, if you miss some of what Saturn was doing, you get a chance to go back into Pisces with Saturn a little bit, get more of an idea about what he was up to, what he was structuring for you from your own subconscious, unconscious ideas and dreams. Okay, so he and Neptune are then going to return to, they're going to return together back into Aries on February 13th, 2026. And then Saturn's going to be in Aries until 2028, April of 2028, when he moves into Taurus. So, and he's going to help us understand what to do with that sign. So right now, the Aries energy is impulsive. Oh, this is who I am. I'm going to go express myself, and I don't care what anybody else says. I'm just going to do it. And then, as Aries energies, we have to learn that we can't just go off and be in our own deep little ocean by ourselves. We want to figure out ways to anchor. I had to figure out ways to anchor in my depths, and so that other people could understand what I'm feeling. And if people don't understand you, then you get to explain and show them and create a container for them to understand the information that you brought. So we all have our own circles of influence right now, where what is being birthed within us is coming up for the collective. And we all have different things to give in different ways. And I have an invitation for you if you want to jump into my group at the end of this. But I want to talk about the Sabian symbol of Aries 0 or Aries 1. So Saturn is again, 0 degrees in Aries on the 24th. But Sabian symbols are like dreamy images. The Sabian symbols are very Piscean in that way. A spiritual medium in 1925 named Elsie Wheeler sat down for an afternoon in San Diego in Balboa Park, and the astrologer Edmund Jones had a list of had index cards with a degree, 360 degrees of the circle of the zodiac. Okay. And she just took the blank card, held it, and didn't even look at the degree, knew nothing about astrology, and then just saw pictures and told Mark Edmund Jones what the picture was. And the picture she was shown for Aries 0 degrees is a woman has risen out of the sea. A seal is embracing her. Now, that's very interesting to be at Aries 1 and have the sea, because Pisces is the ocean. So there's this feminine understanding, this clarity of this feminine, divine feminine rose out of the ocean and is now coming to Aries, which is a very fiery masculine. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go colonize. I'm going to go whatever. And the seal is embracing her. So there is a divine feminine and divine masculine, the seal being the masculine, coming and embracing at that moment of Aries 1, the beginning of the zodiac, the springtime, the new beginnings. This planet Neptune, the spiritual planet, and Saturn, the one that can create forms and can help us limit our vision to a single point of focus so that we can bring in from our heart exactly what we're here on earth to bring. So this is really helps us understand on a more intuitive, dreamy level what happens on the 24th and what happens when in February of 2026, Neptune steps in with Saturn. So the next thing I want to talk about is the new moon and how in Gemini, the sun's in, right now, the sun is in Gemini. And there are 0 degrees Aries. We've got Saturn and Neptune. And there is a paradox on the degree I've just been talking about, Aries 0 degrees. Okay. So what I think of me is none of your business. So don't think of telling me what you think I think of myself. Wow. Okay. So that sounds like an opposite, but it's really a paradox. And I'm not going to tell you my little ways of solving these paradoxes. I am going to instead, if these intrigue you, I'm going to invite you to our new moon ceremony where we're going to share what we think these paradoxes mean. Another paradox that we're going to look at is 29 degrees of Taurus. Why? Because there's a conjunction with Uranus. There is a black hole at 29 degrees Taurus, and Uranus right now is at 27, getting ready to change signs in June, which is just a couple weeks away. And this one here is also a black hole. This 0 degrees Aries is conjunct. And then a third black hole we've got in the planetary positions right now, which is at 24 degrees of Pisces. And right now, the North Node is in Pisces at 24 degrees. And so this one's paradox is the portal cannot be navigated with eyes closed. Meditate with open eyes only. Have my things in the wrong place. So we're going to talk about what that one means. And I think I didn't read out this one. Blowing away the structure creates expansion of energy, drawing more substance in life. So a lot of times stars will explode, okay, or different things, or a life will blow up. Um, and we'll just see if where that paradox takes you, that paradox that exists at 29 degrees of Taurus on this black hole. Black holes are amazing because they don't give us straightforward, rational, linear information. They help us expand and step out of our polarities and help us integrate more and more of who we are. Amazing. And here we are at this new moon. I'm going to just now launch into the new moon. Sun and moon are conjunct at the new moon. Mercury happens to be conjunct this one. This one. Now, where are we? If you see this little star, I put a little star by the sun and the moon in case you can't see my cursor going back and forth. That's where the new moon is, and there is Mercury right under the moon, all in Gemini. Mercury's at 2 degrees Gemini, conjunct Sedna, which is conjunct Alcyon. So Mercury and Sedna are conjunct this amazing star that we're going to talk about more in the next slide. But right now, just know that the sun and the moon and Mercury are conjunct. Sun and moon are conjunct every single new moon. That's what makes it a new moon. But this particular one, we have a guest. The sun and the moon are chatting up Mercury. So interesting. What are they saying? Don't you just want to listen in and figure it out? Okay, so we've got these, and we see that this is where Pluto is. Pluto is over here at 3 degrees Aquarius, and we see this blue line going from the new moon with Mercury and Sedna and Alcyon all the way to Pluto here with Altar, having this star Altar here having this beautiful trine. And at the midpoint, what is happening? There is a sextile on both sides to this Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Wow. So we've got a chart pattern here. And anytime we have a chart pattern, what we have is a container. And it is a container for the energy of the new moon. It is a container for the energy of the configurations, and the configuration here is fire and air. So here's what's making up this pattern, this chart pattern. It's called a minor trine or a minor triangle. And the exact moment of the new moon, when the new moon happens exactly with the sun and the moon on the same point, two other bodies are at the exact same point. And I just listened to a brilliant astrologer the other day that said that when planets are exact, the portal opens. So that's why a lot of astrologers look for exact degrees. So Chiron and Aries, they've been conjunct for a long time because Aries moves really, really slow. And Chiron finally moved onto the point and held it with Aries. And so what is opening for you, Aries tells us, is really this divine feminine warrior energy. That doesn't mean that she wants to go to war in the same way we've been experiencing war for resources on this planet. Aries is more like a warrior for peace energy, and she is willing to fight and be pro-peace. She's not anti-war, she's a warrior. She is promoting something completely different than what we've had before. This entire time she's been in Aries during the entirety of most of our lives. She moves that slow. We also have Jupiter sextiling Chiron in Aries. And Chiron helps us understand where we might have had a really a wound that can only be cured by opening and understanding ourselves on a soul level. And so what is when once that heals within us, it's easier to integrate more of our everyday human little self, little personality created, and our soulful self that is much larger, much easier to come into sacred union with the divine and the human, with the yin and the yang, with the Mars way of taking action and the Eris way, because Eris is it's like Mars' sister. They're both warriors, but Eris is more for the feminine. And so having a Chiron Eris exact portal on the 26th, which is the new moon day, and having Jupiter, okay, sextile, which is a beautiful flowing energy Jupiter's expanding this for us, is Jupiter's expansion. So what if you feel like there's something that is going on with you that you can't quite put your finger on, and you can't quite figure it out or hold it or get it or understand or open the door so that you can go, got it. Thank you. Insight pouring in. Boom, boom, boom. Time to journal, time to meditate. When these days hit like this, like the 26th of May, it's time to journal and meditate, so that these are opportunities coming to us to understand ourselves, our lives, to integrate with the light coming through. And one of my favorite things is to figure out humanity's evolution. If you have a lot of Aquarius in your chart, you're going to be interested in that. And okay, so let's talk about some of the stars that are helping us. I've been talking a lot this year about the star sheet, which is at 29 degrees Pisces. And Neptune's been on that 29 degrees Pisces for the better part of 2 years, when it was going back and forth across the final degrees of Pisces. But today, at this time when Saturn moves and the new moon happens, Saturn is conjunct Sheet. And what is so amazing about Sheet? It helps us open our crown chakra. Why do we want that? Because information is coming through to us from the stars, from the sun, from the moon, from the planets, from the dwarf planets that are way out in our solar system, from deep space objects, from other galaxies. There is information. And if we are set up to receive that information, if we are set up to receive information, receive the light of insight coming to us, and then we can say, okay, wow, I just had a day of insight and I wasn't paying attention to astrology. Let me go look at the chart. Oh my gosh, look what's in the sky. Of course I had some insight. And now I have a hint about what that insight is, because I understand what the stars are bringing us, what the planets, what their archetypal influence is, and what the relationships are and the patterns. So that's why, as we're changing so much at this time, we want to look at and follow astrology, follow the astrologer that makes the most sense to you and what you're birthing from within you. So we're looking at an amazing conjunction at this moon sun conjunction. There is this degree. There is a star cluster in the Hyades that is very close to this sun-moon conjunction. Okay, so besides, there's a couple of stars here that are listed that that are really in kind of like in the Hyades star cluster, which is in the constellation of Taurus. So Hyadium is the star that we're talking about here. And then this one, Uranus, is on Algo. We've talked about that a lot. That's the whole um, Medusa myth. And it was told originally, that myth was told from the point of view of the men that were in charge at the time. But as the feminine is rising, we have um, the rest of the story of Medusa, and how the snakes coming out of her head was how incredibly intelligent she was, and how much all of the understandings of the earth and life, and how we go through change and shed skins, and all the things that snakes that are snake like, that she was brilliant at, and that's why she was such a threat. And we all are, a lot of us, I'm not going to say we all, but a lot of us are holding this intelligent from ages gone by, ages of humanity when the goddess ruled the earth. And so that is Uranus has been on that star on and off for the last year, as Uranus is ready on July 7th to move into Gemini, which is where the sun is now. And okay, and then we were talking about Chiron and Eris, and they're opposite this amazing star Arcturus. And Arcturus, the star beings there help us with emotional healing. So as you are have this wound that can only be healed, opening into your soulful self, your higher self, the truth of who you are, there are emotional healers there at the ready, helping you through whatever insights come to you in your meditation, in your journaling, in your dancing and singing, whatever it is you do to pull in the energy and receive it. The North Node is really powerful. We talked about how the North Node is on a black hole in the paradoxes, but it's also, the North Node is also on the star Merkab, and that's in the part of the ground square of the Pegasus constellation, along with Sheet. So those two are in the flying horse constellation. So this is a time to soar. We've got the stars with us, helping us soar, helping us say, whoa, let me connect the dots here and get the insights of my life and figure out what's been going on, so I can figure out my own personal stuff, so that I can be of more service to what is happening with all of us in the collective. So we've got, because it's a process, we keep unfolding in more and more personal stuff as we're working, helping other people find their own stuff, and then seeing how humanity is evolving. So it's all uncovering and healing at the same time, if we let it, if we want it to. Jupiter is conjunct the star Betelgeuse, and a couple other things, in that area. This one star is on three stars right now. This one, Jupiter. This is one you probably heard of, because there's all kinds of activity happening with it. People are expecting it to go supernova or something. So we'll see if it explodes or not. It might even make a nebula someday. Who knows? But it's a pretty big star. And then we talk about Pluto is on Altar, and which is a star that helps us with courage. So we've got a lot of help. We've got a lot of help during this this new moon, during these days where Saturn is at the 1st degrees of Aries. And if you want to know what the Hyades star cluster looks like, here it is. This is there's some of it you won't be able to see, but when I looked this star cluster up, what I was discovering was that it helps us with our artistic inspiration, and it helps us understand higher levels and bring them in an artistic expression. So if you're an artist, this would be a good time to start a new painting. If you if you're a dancer, this would be a good time to create some new choreography. If you're a singer or a musician, music might come through to you at this time. If you're regular like me, you might open your journal and then boom, maybe every once in a while a poem will come just like boom, download in. Or maybe something that you've been really struggling with. Maybe you're writing a book and there's some section that you just haven't really been able to pull in. This might be a time to do that. And so because there's going to be a transference of energy through art at this new moon. So, and the artist empties themselves, okay, so that they can open into the forces of the cosmos. That's what it says behind my head right here that you can't see. And so, what is the Sabian symbol and the degree of the new moon? Why, I'm so glad you asked. Remember, these are the like Piscean imagery. So they're conjunct 6 degrees of Gemini, and it's an old-fashioned well. To those in right relation with the basic requirements are freely given, trusting in life and relying on nature. So here we're trusting that there's water in the well, and that we can just pick our bucket and kick it down to the well and pull it up, and we have water. We have everything we need. So this is literal. This can be literally true if you have a well, but it can also be more flowing, fluid. Water is intuitive. We're full of water. We're very fluid and flowing, and trusting that this newness that we are stepping into with all these planets, outer planets changing sign all around the same time, all this year, this time period, okay? All of this change happening at this time that we're trying to get hints into. All of this is just helping us trust life, trust that we as humans are change. So why should we be afraid of ourselves as we go through and face what has never been before? It's kind of scary. So we do it together. And I want to invite you into this group that I have been leading for the last 4 years and not realizing how important that is until now. Thank you, Saturn in Pisces at 29 degrees, for showing me that. But I have a group called Intuitives, and it's a membership group, and there's a link below in the show notes. We're going to be doing a new moon ceremony like we've been doing every new moon for 4 years almost, maybe 4 years. So May 27th, the day after the full moon, after the dust clears a little and you've done your meditations, we're going to be working on creating a vision from within our hearts, like we've been doing. I kind of perfected a ceremony and that evolved, and I've been working with the archangels. And I was working with archangel cards and different card decks. Then they started showing up when I was leading these new moon meditations. And then I just surrendered and said, okay, you guys, you're smarter than me. I'm just going to follow you. If you're showing me what to say next in this guided meditation that I'm giving to this group of people, I'm just going to go with it and just allow the receiving. That it's kind of like light channeling from the angels. So this process helps us find peace. It helps us find liberation within ourselves. When we share within a group what we're receiving, what happens is that we are speaking into the universe and telling the universe what we are wanting to create, what is coming up from within us to be created. And we work, because I'm a galactic anchor, I always have this piece. What baby step can we take to bring this energy that is like a we're glimpsing here within our heart, because it hasn't been birthed fully yet, but it's birthing. It's being conceived. How can we bring it in? How can we actually birth it? And there's daily life steps we can take to bring it in. And so we talk about that. Different people, I could give you a whole list of spiritual practices, but nobody ever does them. But if people are receiving their own spiritual practices from within their own heart, then they're going to do them. And I'm now, instead of doing this once a month, there's meditations that I'm giving to this group every week. 2 of them live at the full moon and the new moon, and 2 of them a little video at the other moon phases, because there's all being able to see kind of the progress of the change just as the moon moves through. The moon is really our timing, and we can really do a lot more as human evolution is speeding up in the last for these next 2 years. We can really step into birthing that vision that is ours uniquely to bring. So you can join us for the new moon ceremony. And then after that, there's going to be birthing the vision within your heart, join intuitives for moon meditations. So moon meditations will be off and running at that point. Our next full moon meditation will be live on Zoom, June 9th, 2025 at noon Pacific Daylight Time. And then you will receive a video every Monday that has to do with, it's like a 10 to 20 minute meditation that has to do with the moon phase that we happen to be in. We've been using calendars and clocks that don't align with natural timing, that don't align with the evolution that we're going through on the planet right now. And yet the moon phases do. And getting all of that clarity, thank you, Neptune and Pisces and Saturn. Thank you, Pluto. About things that I was guided to do and just did and loved it. And now seeing how important this actually is to do at this time for all of us, to create a new earth, to create something that's never existed before, and to, thank you, stars and planets, not be afraid of that beautiful potentiality in these unknown places. Hope to see you. Love and blessings. Bye-bye.